Previously on FeralInferno.
Mamma mia! Alright, in addition to the ticking noise that we get when shutting down, we got a big gash here on the side panel as well. Tried to cover up with some Sharpie just in the meantime, just so it didn't look bad when I had people over. But to Arcade1Up's credit, they did send me an additional side panel piece, as well as a new PCBA or an encoder board. It took a few different messages to make sure they sent both pieces. They sent them separately, but they did eventually send them, and I am grateful for that. Okay, we've got our control panel off of the main unit. We'll go ahead and take the screws off the back of it here, one by one. Luckily, there is no glue here on the back panel of the control panel. Sometimes they do glue those down, but they did, however, glue in the plugs, so we're going to have to get a knife and score those so that we can get the glue off of those so we can get all the plugs out. Okay, here comes our moment of truth. No ticking, so I'd call this a success. Hey, so yeah, we got our Arcade1Up Killer Instinct cabinet back up, fully operational. Really glad that everything worked out well. Sorry for the delay on it. Really meant to get this video out sooner than it did. I unfortunately had other videos I was trying to take care of, and then shortly after Thanksgiving, I took a little bit of a spill and fractured my arm, so I wasn't really able to lift heavy things or use even a screwdriver because it's right here in the forearm. So I had to get a little bit of help, so called up my dad. You might see him in one of, well, at least his hand anyways, in one part of the video where we're unscrewing the control panel. So really grateful that he came over and helped me lift the cabinet and get the side panel replaced. And it was actually a lot easier too, replacing the encoder board with two people, because that way you could kind of take one out and put another in while somebody held it up. So that was really useful, having a second pair of hands doing that. I think a lot of people, including myself, I normally would have just done that myself. I usually put these things together by myself, and it's usually it's okay doing it with one person, but having two people was a lot more helpful actually for the encoder board. And then also when you for people who put Arcade1Ups together, one of the most frustrating parts is when you get the last side panel and you got to put it back on top and you try to get all the peg holes lined up and all the screw holes lined up. That one one of the last parts that you do, you're always trying to get it, making sure that the coin door and other things aren't flopping over. That was very helpful having a second person, so someone could kind of hold things and you can maneuver the top piece a little bit. So that was cool to see too, that it was a little easier having two people. So really grateful for his help with the cabinet repairs. Another thing that I'll say is that the encoder board was covered in glue where the plugs were. That was a little frustrating. You're going to need, most likely, if you're doing this repair, you're going to need a knife. Just get a little utility knife, and you're going to want to just score it lightly. One of them was just sopping with glue, and we weren't sure if the knife was really going to do it. So I went to go to a hair dryer, and then as we were about to plug it in, we were able to get the plug out. So just be aware of that some of the plugs, they might be glued in. Not all of them were. Just the ones facing us were glued in. The ones in the back weren't really a problem. But glue is a thing, so be aware of the glue. Luckily, the control panel itself wasn't glued in. I know I've seen some situations where the actual control panel casing was glued on as well. And I know that I could see where that would be frustrating as well. So you don't want to break any of the wires, and with a control panel, you don't want to break the plastic piece as well, the panel in the back. So luckily that wasn't a problem. But yeah, we got everything in. We tested it a few times, made sure like, hey, did it really not tick? Is it really not going to tick again? Because I had the first encoder board and it was fine. The first maybe 1 or 2 times I had powered it off, no issue. But then shortly afterwards, it started doing that ticking noise. So I was just a little concerned. I was like, hopefully we're not wasting all of our time doing this. But yeah, I know there were some people also a little critical of the initial video where I posted up the evidence of the ticking noise. I did that, for Arcade1Up and just try to have a little bit of fun with it. Definitely not trying to throw Arcade1Up under the bus. I know some people, were just a little upset with that, and not my intention, but glad for the conversations that we've had with those folks. But I want to highlight too, when you get a product that's $400, $500, maybe $600. These Arcade1Ups cost around that much. You want to make sure that it works, right? And you want to make sure when it doesn't work that you get the right customer service, and we did. We got really great customer service from Arcade1Up. You had to ask a couple times for some of the things, but they were very responsive though. So like, hey, I'm looking for this. Hey, they got back to me within 24 hours. That was really cool to see. I wasn't waiting for days or anything like that. They would get back to me within 24 hours, and it was a real person responding. So the parts all came separately, so that was a little bit of part of the delay as well. By the time we got the parts and I was ready to make the video, boom, the arm, right? Murphy's Law strikes again. But yeah, for those, wondering, if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. This is the first time out of the 16 Arcade1Ups that I put together. I still have 14 of those. One I had sold, and then another wasn't mine. I put it together for my stepdad for Christmas years ago to help him out. And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy putting these things together. So yeah, out of the 16 that I put together, it's the first time I've had a actual functional issue with the cabinet, in addition to also the gash in the side panel. So not the greatest initial experience, but Arcade1Up came through. Thank you very much. And also thank you for everybody else with your feedback and your suggestions and the previous video, or if I had what I had posted on Reddit as well. I appreciate everybody's comments, giving me support, and just also, hey, taking me to task, saying like, hey, don't throw them under the bus, and talking about that. I enjoy that stuff, so it's all good. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.